Candy!
What is it caught in?
Remember when you used to go around in little boats?
In a boat?
Yeah, in the pond near Astera. You would use a leaf.
Yes.
Would you mind talking with the smithy about that?
Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, welcome one and all to a rather unique experience in the Monster Hunter series, Wyvern Hunting Boats, a specific mechanic to Monster Hunter Online for a specific quest to hunt Plesioth that was only available for a limited time nearly 7 years ago. Special thanks to Kogath for the footage here. Your first thought is probably, man, that wheel at the front reminds me of something. But your second thought is probably, whoa, that movement actually looks really sort of slick, and the monster animations aren't bad either. Really, what is this? Essentially, it's an attempt to realize the concept of underwater combat that allows a monster to truly fight in its natural element without going to the full length of it being underwater combat, and without forcing the player to swim as well. Logically, I do sort of struggle with this because, well, the monster can go underwater, and the boat can't, and the boat is sort of tiny, so why doesn't the monster just dive and do hit and run attacks, one-shotting hunters from underneath? That aside, this is really cinematic and spectacular looking, but mechanically speaking, it is clearly a bit light, a touch lacking in the actual meat. The attack pattern of the boat is very much set in stone and looks like it would get tedious quite fast, and you don't seem to get a dodge roll or anything like that. Obviously it won't roll, it's a boat, you might get a barrel roll or something, but you don't. It's just move or don't move with a bit of a jet ski type movement pattern, shoot or don't shoot, dodge the monster through movement itself, deal damage pure and simple, and honestly, I sort of love it. Monster Hunter is an extremely cinematic game, and the story often realizes that through things that we tend to label as spectacle fights. Monster experiences unlike any other, ones that get a unique map only to one monster, monsters that are larger than your average monster, but are still fought normally with weapons, or ones that have multiple phases, things like super attacks, something particularly unique that really make it feel special even when compared to other Monster Hunter hunts. We also have siege quests, where we use artillery placed around the map to weaken the monster while also fighting it with our own weapons in between. This is sort of a mix between the two, taking a regular mid-tier monster like Plesioth and then adapting him to exist in the water the way that he should work, and the way that he does work in the 3rd gen Monster Hunter games, and then giving the player an interesting way to traverse the water that comes equipped with a siege weapon. The whole thing, while missing something mechanically for sure, is undeniably super high up on the cool factor. There's something just so badass about this tiny little motorcycle looking boat speeding around in circles, dodging while you fire a goddamn cannon off of the back of it. Something like this may not be a quest that you want to do over and over and over again, of course, but you would never forget your first time experiencing it, and I'm sure it's the type of thing that I would run at least once every session or two while playing while it was active, just for the separation and break from regular hunting while still engaging in Monster Hunter in general. How would you guys feel about this type of thing coming to main series games in the future? Maybe. I feel like it would be changed quite a bit for sure, but I have always wanted them to revisit the idea of underwater combat with modern consoles, or at the very least something like this, which is water combat in general. Even just a modern main series Monster Hunter game recreating this quest as a concept, fleshing out the system to give the boat some attack combos, maybe a dodge, and then give us a couple of monsters that can only be fought that way. I could see that being an incredibly fun time. I know some people disagree. You think Monster Hunter is just about the hunter and the weapon versus the monster, and while I see where you're coming from, that is what the game is about 99% of the time already. Why not shake things up a couple of times per game with that rest of the 1% and see if you can really throw a wrench in the regular loop of hunting while still making a memorable and engaging experience? I think this quest in Monster Hunter Online is definitely memorable, and honestly, from a spectator's perspective, just watching rather than being the one behind the controls, it sort of looks awesome. It's like a scene from a Monster Hunter pirate movie, which, by the way, sounds like it should be a thing right the hell now. They could hunt down the Moby Dick, the white whale monster. Oh wait, Sedeus exists.
Are all pirates this stupid?
Okay,
Okay, so the water theme has been done a bit, but I really do want an underwater Monster Hunter game again in the future. Maybe one where we just completely throw out the base concept of believability, put a hub city under the sea, like an underwater base, and give us some way to just breathe underwater, just because we can. Have us be part of some sort of specific society in Monster Hunter that has no interactions with the rest of the world itself, but has a very different way of living, hunting the deep sea creatures instead of the land-based ones. In that game, I could totally see a submarine version of this quest being a main mechanic, like a little boat with the hunter sealed in that jets around with a mounted ballistic cannon firing like a Gatling gun on top. Something like that sounds believable to me, as ridiculous as it is. Look, I just want to fight a giant squid monster, more kinds of shark monsters, some crustacean monsters, maybe even, well, look away from the screen right now for about 10 seconds if you aren't a fan of insects, but this thing is called a giant isopod. Look at it in that person's hand. It is massive. Basically a shrimp and crab relative that simply becomes insanely large due to living at the bottom of the ocean. That's the big thing about deep sea creatures. In real life, it is where the most alien looking, unbelievable living things on Earth are. Things that look nothing like what we would expect, and we have still not discovered anywhere close to everything living down there, which leaves so much up to the theater of the mind, puts so much in your imagination of what could be down there even in real life. Now imagine what life is like a few kilometers underwater in the Monster Hunter world. It is both frightening to picture and incredible to consider the possibilities. I want another Monster Hunter game based underwater. I know this is about the whole mounted gunboat thing really at its base, and look, it is really cool, okay? But the whole time, I'm just thinking that this would be an awesome secondary activity in a water-focused Monster Hunter game. And honestly, watching this going on in the background is just sort of fueling me. This epic spectacle of a location, the animations, really doing it justice, even for 2015, 7 years ago. Who knows, maybe this will be brought back in a different way entirely. Maybe in Sunbreak we will all get more switch skills, and Heavy Bowgun will get one that allows it to fire from the back of the Palamute, and in that case it would probably feel almost exactly like this, drifting around, firing hefty shots, and honestly I could see that being really cool in conjunction with the charged shots mechanics that otherwise isn't used a massive amount, honestly, creating a hit and run playstyle. Anyways, what I'm getting at here is I just look at this limited time event hunt and I see potential. I see a very basic system created for very limited use that shows signs of promise. A lot of cool ideas that, if expanded upon in some way, could make for a really cool larger mechanic in a main series Monster Hunter game. And even if it didn't, it is cool just to look back on this and say, yay, this existed at one point. Isn't that cool? What do you think then? Is it cool? Or is it just some sort of fluff activity for nerds who like boats? Goddamn boat nerds. Like if you like the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.